Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Desmond Sang and currently I work as an associate professor at the DeSoto Faculty of Management at McGill University. The modules we are covering today is titled The Realities of Real Estate. In this module, we are going to discuss some of the essentials of real estate investment along with some ways to get involved in the real estate market down the road. Let me first give you a preview of our time together. I'm going to start by discussing why you should care about real estate. Next, we will go through the important factors to consider for real estate investment. We will then look at some numbers of housing affordability and the rent versus buy decision. Lastly, if you're not ready to invest in a real property at this time, we will look at alternative ways for you to participate in the real estate market without a huge commitment like buying a house. So the first question is, why real estate? First of all, if you own your property, you do not have to pay rent every month. And for investment, as a landlord, you are able to generate stable income every month with the rent you collect. Also, real estate always has potential of capital appreciation. Given the exciting real estate market in the last couple of years in cities like Toronto, Vancouver, and more recently Montreal, capital appreciation could be very substantial for a real estate investor. In addition, real estate gives people a sense of security since there's the brick and mortar underlying each investment. There is also leverage, meaning you can use borrowed money, which we call a mortgage, to buy real estate. And there are tax benefits, where you can use many expenses to reduce taxes when you hold investment real estate properties. Moreover, real estate offers you diversification benefits, as you do not want to put all eggs in one basket and bet all your savings into the stock market. Finally, real estate also serves as a hedge of inflation. Imagine if you keep your money under the bed. The money would shrink with inflation. However, the rent and value in real estate go up with any inflation increase. Though it is also true real estate values can go down in economic downturns. A good example is Calgary. After experiencing a real estate bubble caused by the rise in oil price, its housing market has been declining in recent years. So if you're into real estate, what are some of the factors you have to consider? In real estate, we have the saying, location, location, location. But what is a good location? First, we would need to look at the population and income growth of a city. You would want to go into a market with growing instead of declining population, because a growing city would need more housing, and that would help you to secure tenants for an investment property, and to ensure you have a stable stream of rental income. Also, growing cities usually would mean there is more demand for housing and more capital appreciation. So down the road, that would help you more when you are ready to sell. While population is important because people need housing, you would also want people to be able to afford and sustain the housing market. Hence, locations with a financial center and money tend to have a better housing market. A perfect example of this kind of location is New York. Quality of life is also an important location factor. People live and work in a city. So the city has to be a good location with low crime, good environment, decent education and health systems. A counterexample would be the city of Detroit. Despite the fact that there are many strong industries coming back to the city in recent years, people are still reluctant to invest into the real estate of Detroit, mainly because of the high crime rate and the dangerous reputations of the city. Next, macroeconomic factors matter a lot for the timing of real estate investment. For instance, when the mortgage rate is low, your cost of real estate is lower. When banks have more money and are more willing to lend, it would be easier for you to get a mortgage for your property. If you look at the relationship of mortgage rates and home prices, they tend to go in opposite directions. That means investors are more likely to invest in real estate, thereby raising housing prices when the mortgage cost is low. Lastly, House price dynamics are also influenced when there are constraints on the location. Some good cities end up being ultra expensive because of these constraints. A perfect example is Honolulu in Hawaii. Given that it's on an island and there's a volcano, the city has very limited land and can only be built on the edge of the island. As a result, its house price is considered one of the most expensive in the world. On the other hand, even though Chicago is considered as one of the financial centers in the US, its housing price is relatively reasonable. One of the reasons is that it has a lot of flat land that enables the city to expand. Once you decide to go into the real estate market, there are also some micro factors to be concerned about. For instance, where do you want to locate in a city, and what kind of dwelling do you want? Usually, there are two types of neighborhoods that are good for real estate investing. First is the up-and-coming neighborhood. These neighborhoods usually pick up a lot in capital appreciation when people move there. Many of you may not know that Facebook used to be located just on the main street of this little town called Palo Alto. When these tech firms start to get famous, the popularity of many of these towns along the Silicon Valley also surged, thereby making the housing markets in these areas very attractive. Second, we have the established neighborhood. Real estate investment of this type usually does not entail huge capital appreciation. But what is important about these neighborhoods is that these properties located here can offer strong and stable income stream when there are already people living in the area, when there are already business establishments, as well as a lot of amenities. Next, we want to consider the right property type for your real estate investment. This is kind of like dating. For example, in San Francisco, many of the workers who work for tech firms like Google are young single or couples. Hence, there is relatively less demand for large houses in the neighborhoods where these firms are located. It makes more sense to invest in an apartment and loft in this case. Lastly, the property itself of course matters. You need to find a good property. But what is considered good? First, the price has to be right for the size of the property you pay for. You want to invest in properties that are not too old, as old buildings tend to have huge maintenance needs. Alternatively, you may want to consider some unique and interesting projects. The values of these projects tend to stay stronger because they are one of a kind and unique. As we know, real estate has been making a substantial portion of the economy, and that's why we all need to know some essentials of real estate. For example, can you afford to buy a house at this moment? And also, if you're ready to buy a house, what kind of locations would you want? So you find the real estate investment opportunity in the city and neighborhood you like, but can you even afford it? Here we have the concept of housing affordability, and it usually refers to the relationship of housing expenditure with your household income. In this case, the usual rule of thumb is 28% to 36%. So what it means is that if you have been spending more than 36% of your income on housing, then your housing investments is already too high and over your comfort zone. Despite the fact that there are many and more complicated measures of housing affordability, the simplest benchmark measure is to look at the ratio of median house price to household income. Let's conduct a simple calculation to examine the housing affordability of the major Canadian cities in recent years. This chart shows you the average house prices of different major cities, and this shows you the average median income. If we calculate the house price to median income ratios and the rent to median income ratios and compare among Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, and Calgary, the 4 largest cities in Canada, you can see that both ratios are significantly higher for Vancouver and Toronto. What does that mean? It means housing is getting quite expensive and unaffordable in these cities. And not surprisingly, Vancouver has been ranked one of the most expensive cities in the world for its house prices. No matter whether a place is affordable or not, one still has to live. An important life decision for most people is whether to rent or to buy. We can obtain a big picture by calculating the price to rent ratio. When the ratio is high, it means house price is relatively high as compared to rent, and it means it's more beneficial for us to rent than to own. Most investment firms suggest a rule of thumb of 20. A detailed analysis of the renting versus owning decision would require other information, such as other housing expenditure, the amount of down payment you can have, and the time horizon of your real estate investment. Lastly, let's say owning is currently too pricey for you and you also do not have enough down payment. Does that mean you have no chance to invest in real estate? No. One consideration down the road might be to invest in REITs. What is REITs, you might ask? REITs are real estate investment trust. They buy and hold real estate properties for rental income. There are about 300 US REITs and 45 Canadian REITs traded on stock exchanges, focusing on different property types such as residential, office, retail, and you can invest in these REIT securities like you would do for any other stock. Though it is not guaranteed in the future, REITs have proved to be a very good investment vehicle in the past. In this module, we have glimpsed into the world of real estate investing. We first learned the rationales of real estate investment. Next, we consider the factors that may affect the values of the real estate investment. While real estate investment definitely offers many benefits, housing affordability could be a big concern. Lastly, even if you do not have the capacity to go into real estate market, you can still consider the real estate security market in which REITs, real estate investment trusts, have been performing quite well in the capital market over the long run. Thank you for joining this module, The Realities of Real Estate, and best of luck as you continue forward in your journey towards financial literacy.